Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of RZLT Tech Talks. And my name is Josip. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to deploy our first AI agent using Fleek and ElizaOS. So, before we dive deep into what is Fleek, how does it work, how can we deploy our own agent, let's first dive into the ElizaOS a bit. If you're seeing this video, I assume that you're familiar with the operating system and the framework of Eliza itself. But let's touch bases a bit further on. If you don't know, Eliza is a framework which enables you to create AI agents, interact with different applications and third-party dApps across an array of ecosystems, and then deploy those agents and distribute them across different social channels as well as community-focused channels. In this case, in order to dive deep, I'll provide all the links and everything that's specific to Eliza in the link in the description, so you're able to check it out. But this is the overview of the whole ecosystem at the moment. Please note that the ecosystem is expanding rapidly. I believe there's 5 to 6 integrations every single week. And recently as well, Fleek announced the integration to support the front end for Eliza, which we're going to utilize today. So in the case of Eliza and the framework itself, you have a lot of different plugins, you have a lot of different LLMs and the APIs that you can use. This is ranging from Llama 3 to Grok to OpenAI and the ChatGPT and multiple other ones. And then on top of that, we have a lot of blockchain-based integrations, as you can see here with ZK Sync, Near, Sui, Aptos. There's also ICP, Story Protocol, and multiple other ones. On top of this, you have a lot of integrations with CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, and exchanges like Binance, Coinbase. And you have other integrations such as Giphy and things like that, which we'll come back to later. On top of that, there's a wide array of adapters where you can store the data of a particular agent and have it within this central database, such as PostgreSQL. You have SQLite and multiple other ones. And then you have, of course, the clients, which is the distribution channel where that agent will interact with. You have GitHub, you have Slack, Farcaster, there's X, Discord, Telegram, and multiple other ones are coming in. And then, of course, over here you have the characters, which are the main characters that Eliza provides as default ones. You can choose from PO, Trump, and multiple other ones, or you can create your own. One also thing that you can do is you can feed all the data that you're posting from your own personal profile and feed it directly onto Eliza to create a character of yourself or a copy of yourself as an AI agent. In this case, the way that this works, and if you've been around in the Eliza ecosystem, it's very simple in terms of the integration side and to run it locally. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to run it directly on Fleek and how to do it without touching the code or cloning the repo or anything like that. Because Fleek enables users essentially who are non-developer and non-technical oriented to create their own agents. And what they've done, they put a front end on the Eliza steps, meaning the setting up the environmental tabs, cloning everything, and then creating characters. All of that is set up on the front end side. Fleek does everything in the background. And based on that, you're able to create an agent in a few very simple steps, which we'll go through now. So in the case of the Fleek, I'll also provide all the information in terms of that below. You also have their Discord in case you want to learn more or you have any, if you have any questions in regards to their platform. But once you get started, once you log in and have everything set up, you'll be able to see a front page where it says you can build and deploy autonomous apps and AI agents. And when you click on deploy an agent, this will pop up to get started. So let me first quickly go through this. You have a couple of options over here. One is to upload your character file. So character files are the JSON formats that you use for Eliza, where you have the message examples, the character, the lore, post examples, all of the traits, personalities that agent will use and how will it interact across the ecosystem. This you can do on your own locally, and you can just upload the character file here. Then you're also able to create a character file directly from scratch, and then later down the line, you can also amend it and download it as a JSON as well. Or you can start with a template of pre-existing characters which are already created, and these are being pulled from the Eliza repository on GitHub. So you have here Eliza, Trump, C3PO, Dobby, and you have a Web3 character starter. You have the support character starter, which can go into a support for a particular ecosystem and app that you have, and multiple other things. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to build one from scratch. And as you can see here, I have Astra AI. This is a very simple agent which was created for this video. Of course, all of these things over here, which we're going to post, you can also completely personalize it to yourself. The more data you feed, the better the result. But the important thing to note is that the more concrete data. So let's say that you have an agent which is going into the DeFi ecosystem or of a particular chain, such as, let's say, Solana. The focus is the DeFi on Solana, with some of the supporting ones, such as, I don't know, maybe meme coins or things like that, depending on what you want to do. But you're not going to focus on other ecosystems as much, or you're not going to go into decentralized AI and decentralized social media with the knowledge base and the traits and all the things that you're feeding with to the characters. I found that the best with the character. We have over here a couple of things such as origin and purpose, core responsibilities, and things like that, which will now dive deeper into when we start building out the character in Fleek. So when we go to this page, let's click on build from scratch, and we have here support pro for some reason. Okay, we sorted it out. The first thing that you're going to see here is the create the character file. So what will this do? This will create that JSON file, which is predefined through Eliza and which you can edit in the JSON format. But in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to call our agent Astra, and then we can also set up an image over here if we wish to. And we have model providers. So what is the model provider in this case? The model provider is the main LLM that you're going to use, and that agent is going to use to post content, interact with different users, and respond to messages across the platforms that you choose. You have a couple of examples over here, such as OpenAI, DeepSeek, Anthropic, Grok, and multiple others. And you also have over here Gaia as well, if you want to use open source model. And Gaia is not paid, so you don't need to have an API key. So you don't need to pay for the API in order to use Gaia, but for other ones you need to, as it goes, right? Next up, we have clients. Clients are your distribution platforms. So this is where the agent will interact with. And you have a couple of examples here. You have Discord, you have X, which is in this case Twitter, Telegram, Farcaster, Lens, Auto, Slack, GitHub. There's new ones which are coming in. So I presume that this list will get updated as it goes. But these are essentially the main ones where the agent will interact with. For example, if you're doing a support agent, maybe the best way to do it is either on Slack if the community is over there, or Telegram if the community is over there, or Discord. And if you're utilizing an educational agent or a developer-focused agent, you can push it directly onto the developer Discord. Or educational in terms of more ecosystem support and things like that, you can go directly onto Twitter and have it there as a key opinion leader, content creator, and things like that. Next up, we have plugins, which are in this case optional, but this is something that I've touched bases on very earlier in this video. And these are all your plugins which are created by the third-party applications for Eliza, and they're contributing onto the Eliza framework itself. So you can see here you have Avalanche plugin, you have Binance platform, Coinbase, CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap. So for example, if you put CoinMarketCap, you could put an API of CoinMarketCap, and it will enable you to get the latest prices of the particular tokens. And then agent can create content based on those. So the first movers, who is listed on the CoinMarketCap, who had the most price fluctuation in the last 24 hours and things like that. On top of that, you also have over here a couple of other very cool plugins, which are, so for example, Giphy, where you have a plugin which enables you to send GIFs as responses to particular comments of the users. So if I create a post, Astra responds to it, she can respond as well with the GIF rather than just a simple plain text. Next up over here, we have the bio itself. So this is the background information of the character. Details of the character, where did the character come from, how did it became the character, and things like that. And then, of course, this is highly tied with the lore itself, which is the backstory elements and unique character traits, right? So if we go into our small document that I prepared over here, we have over here some of the background, like the origins, as well as the core responsibilities of Astra. What we can do is copy paste those. And then in terms of the lore itself, we have the lore for Astra. As you can see, this was generated as an example, but in this case, she's a guide, a curator, and a catalyst for the next wave of decentralized evolution. As Astra, the concept of it, she goes very deep into the decentralized AI, zero knowledge proofs, as the most, let's say, complicated topics, and tries to educate new people around those topics across the Twitter space. Bam. And we have the lore itself. On top of that, you also have here knowledge, which is optional, of course, but what I also figured out, if you're doing an agent for a particular ecosystem or a dApp, the more data you feed about that particular dApp, such as the developer documentation, general articles, posts posted by other people, videos created by other users or created by you, the better the results will be. So in the case of Astra, we have here a list of a couple of resources that we're going to utilize, which we can post as a knowledge graph for where that LLM will pull the data on top of the existing data that they already have. Then on top of this, we have here the message examples. So message examples are how, if the user responds, how will Astra respond to that particular user? This is very important because you want to keep the tone of voice consistent across the responses, right? So sometimes it can be very degen. If you want to be degen, it can be casual. It can be with multiple open-ended questions, CTAs into particular things, or more educational type of a vibe. But this will depend on what you want to achieve. In the case of Astra, we can have here what are some of the real world use cases of AI and blockchain working together. So let's say that the user asks this, and then we have Astra over here as the response to that. You can see here that it goes directly into, it adds on to the question from the user itself. It doesn't mean that it will completely follow these paths and things like that, meaning that if person really writes this will not be the exact copy, will not be the answer to it, but it will take the inspiration from this and it will learn from this as more users start to post and respond and interact with the agent itself. Next up, we have here the post examples. Post examples are your examples on posting on social media, right? So how will the post look like? What will be the tone of voice? And implementations such as these. So let me give you a overview. So in the case of Astra, what we can do is, in terms of the post examples, you have DAOs, DeFi, and AI are converging. The lines between the blockchain governance, finance, and autonomous decisions are blurring. How do you see AI and DAOs shaping the future? One thing over here is that if you put here a lot of open-ended questions, which will prompt users to go more into responding, or you want to put more post examples which will CTA users to a particular action, that's how the agent will start to respond. Not every single time, because of course, depending on the context itself, but for a particular post, this will be where it pulls the data from, where it gets the tone of voice from. Next up, we have here the style consists of three sort of main parts. All is covered by all the styles if that agent is being on Discord, Twitter, Telegram, whatever the distribution platform, or whichever distribution platform is, that style will be applied there. We have over here chat focus style. This is for agents which are on Discord or Telegram, which are more supportive agents for a particular project. And then over here we have the style of posting, which is for social media such as Twitter in this case, right? So in terms of the style, We have here a couple of the examples. So we have the general style. We have that Astra is visionary and thought-provoking, analytical and informative, strategic and forward-thinking, collaborative and inclusive, optimistic but pragmatic, right? And we can copy paste all of those styles over here. Of course, you can add as much as you want onto those, and based on that, the results will come. And then also one thing, you can delete it as well once you deploy it, so you can change the style based on A/B test agent itself, right? If you don't like one, let's try it with another one and then take it from there. Similar thing for the chat. So uses conventional yet intelligent language, engages with questions like, have you seen a project tackling this, or what's your take on this trend? Meaning that users tend to more, or other agents in this case, tend to more interact with those questions, which are more open-ended and engaging, rather than just creating the educational, not even educational, but creating questions which don't have as much engagement, let's say it like that. And then on top of that, we have here the post examples. The post examples are, in this case, punchy and engaging, minimalist yet insightful, future focused and strategic. And also we mentioned here that it utilizes emojis and wide array of formatting. So let's say that Astra creates a list of the top AI applications and then creates a thread around it, that it's going to be structured. And then on top of that, to utilize emojis on it. And of course, have the CTA below to point people onto a specific article, thread, content piece, or quote tweet, right? Should we just do this? Up. All right, perfect. And then last but not least, over here, we have topics and adjectives. Adjectives topics is which topics will this agent cover, and which topics will this agent focus on the most. And adjectives are words that describe its character's trait and personality itself. Most of those adjectives, they will be used for generating the responses, be that on the chat or a post or whatever that agent posts, generates content, whichever platform that agent generates content. So in this case, we have the topics. The topics are decentralized AI, blockchain networks, zero-knowledge proofs, privacy technology. We have developer resources, frameworks, AI ethics, and etc. In terms of the adjectives, we have the visionary, the analytical, the thought-provoking, strategic, forward-thinking, and those will be placed over here. Perfect. So now that we've created all of this in a very sort of smaller overview, I highly suggest when you do it to do it much broader than this. But this is just for the sake of the video. I'll show you some of the things in the later videos, how this goes when you have 35 pages of documents, which are only for the knowledge, and 10 pages for the lore. So the more data it is, the more the data is structured, the better the results will be afterwards. So we continue to the settings, and now over here we have the main things which are being done. And if you've deployed an agent through Eliza, you know that you have the environmental variables. This is the environmental variables essentially. So you could put here your secrets, such as the Open AI API key, a Twitter username, a Twitter passport, a Twitter email, and you can play around with some of the parameters over here. So all of these are in minutes. What this means is essentially post interval max, the max time it will take for a new post to be created, and the minimum time that it will create for the new post to be created. One thing that I highly suggest is you keep it as a default and then see based on the response how it works and play around with it, but also to make sure that the agent itself does not overpost, because the account, if it's new on Twitter, for example, will get banned or will get shadow banned very easily. Last but not least, you have a couple of the secrets over here, which you can add with as key value pairs, and voice model, which is optional. This one, the US male medium, works the best in all the cases. It doesn't have a lot of different effects in how you change it, but I found this one to be the most used, and I think it's also the default one for all the characters which have been developed through Eliza itself. After that, you can review all the characters that you have, all the things that you've created. You can publish it directly on Fleek. The cost of publishing is around 20 euros per month in terms of the hosting side. But what you could do as well from this, download the JSON format, and you can also host it locally on your PC if you clone the repo of the Eliza framework itself. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for watching. On the next videos, we're going to dive more deeper into the Eliza and some of the things which you can do with plugins, going on-chain, off-chain, connecting both of these things, connecting different APIs, and exploring the different possibilities. Thanks so much for your time, and till next video. Bye.